The legend of Kingfisher. In a land far away, there was a great river that flowed through the heart of the forest. The river was home to many birds, including a beautiful species of bird known as the kingfisher. The kingfisher was revered by the animals of the forest for its majestic beauty and its ability to catch fish with incredible speed and accuracy. One day, a young kingfisher was born to a pair of kingfishers that lived by the river. The young kingfisher was different from the others because of its unusually bright and colorful feathers. The other animals of the forest were amazed by the young kingfisher and named it Rainbow because of its colorful plumage. As Rainbow grew up, it became clear that it was destined for greatness. It had an incredible talent for catching fish, and its colorful feathers made it stand out from the rest of the kingfishers. Rainbow quickly became a legend in the forest, and animals from far and wide came to watch it catch fish. However, as Rainbow's fame grew, so did its ego. It began to think of itself as the greatest kingfisher in the world and became increasingly arrogant. The other animals of the forest started to avoid Rainbow, and it became lonely and unhappy. One day, a wise old owl came to Rainbow and said, "Rainbow, you have become too focused on your own greatness. You have forgotten that the reason you are able to catch fish so well is because of the river and the other creatures that live in it. You must learn to be humble and grateful for the gifts you have been given." Rainbow listened to the wise old owl and realized that it had been foolish to think of itself as the greatest kingfisher in the world. From that day on, Rainbow made a conscious effort to be more humble and grateful for the gifts it had been given. And so, Rainbow continued to catch fish and amaze the other animals of the forest, but now it did so with a newfound humility and gratitude. The legend of the kingfisher grew even stronger, and Rainbow became a symbol of grace and beauty in the forest. Years passed, and Rainbow had become an elder kingfisher. The river and the forest had gone through many changes, but Rainbow remained a constant presence. One day, however, the peaceful rhythm of the river was interrupted by a sudden and violent storm. The rain poured down in sheets, and the river began to swell and rise. The animals of the forest fled to higher ground, but Rainbow knew that it could not leave its home. It was determined to weather the storm and protect its territory. As the river continued to rise, Rainbow used its incredible strength and agility to stay in one place. The current was strong, and Rainbow had to fight with all its might to stay afloat. The other animals of the forest watched in amazement as Rainbow battled the storm, and they began to see the kingfisher in a new light. For days, the storm raged on, and the river continued to rise. The animals of the forest began to fear that they would never see Rainbow again. But then, on the seventh day, the rain stopped, and the sun came out. The river began to recede, and the animals of the forest cautiously made their way back to their homes. When they arrived at the river, they were amazed to see Rainbow perched on a tree branch, its feathers ruffled but otherwise unharmed. Rainbow had survived the storm, and its bravery had earned the respect and admiration of the other animals of the forest. From that day on, Rainbow was not just a symbol of beauty and grace but also of strength and resilience. The legend of the kingfisher grew even stronger, and Rainbow became a source of inspiration for all those who faced challenges and adversity. As Rainbow grew older, a younger kingfisher named Silver also rose to fame in the forest. Silver was just as beautiful and talented as Rainbow, and soon a rivalry developed between the two kingfishers. Rainbow and Silver competed fiercely to catch the most fish and win the admiration of the other animals in the forest. The rivalry became so intense that the other animals began to worry that it would turn violent. One day, a group of animals approached Rainbow and asked it to end the rivalry with Silver. They reminded Rainbow that it had once been arrogant and had learned the value of humility and gratitude. They urged Rainbow to show Silver the same kindness and respect that had been shown to it. Rainbow listened to the animals and realized that they were right. It had become so focused on winning that it had forgotten the importance of kindness and respect. So, Rainbow approached Silver and suggested that they work together to catch fish instead of competing against each other. At first, Silver was skeptical. It had also become consumed by the rivalry and was not sure that it could trust Rainbow. But Rainbow persisted, and eventually, Silver agreed to work together. The two kingfishers combined their skills and talents, and soon they were catching more fish than either of them had ever caught before. The other animals of the forest were amazed at how well Rainbow and Silver worked together and how much they had accomplished. The rivalry between Rainbow and Silver had turned into a partnership, and the two kingfishers had learned the value of cooperation and collaboration.
From that day on, they worked together to catch fish and became a symbol of teamwork and friendship in the forest.
One year, the animals of the forest noticed that the river was beginning to dry up. The hot summer sun had caused the water to evaporate, and soon the river was nothing more than a shallow stream. The animals knew that they could not survive in the forest without water, so they decided to embark on a great migration to find a new source of water. Rainbow and Silver, along with the other kingfishers, decided to stay behind to protect their home and wait for the river to return.
Weeks passed, and the river remained dry. Rainbow and Silver became worried that the other animals would not return, and they began to feel lonely and isolated. But they refused to abandon their home and their duty to protect it.
Finally, after many long weeks, the rains came. The river began to fill up again, and soon the other animals of the forest began to return. Rainbow and Silver were overjoyed to see their friends again and to know that their home had been preserved.
The Great Migration had been a difficult journey for the other animals, but it had also been a valuable lesson for Rainbow and Silver. They had learned the importance of perseverance and dedication, and they had seen the value of sacrifice and duty. From that day on, they redoubled their efforts to protect their home and to help the other animals of the forest in any way they could.
Years passed, and the forest continued to thrive under the watchful eyes of Rainbow and Silver. But one year, a terrible drought descended upon the forest. The sun blazed down relentlessly, and the river began to dry up once again. The other animals of the forest were desperate for water, and they turned to Rainbow and Silver for help. The two kingfishers knew that they had to act quickly if they were going to save their home and their friends. They searched high and low for sources of water, but everything was bone dry. Finally, they came across a small spring deep in the forest. The spring was surrounded by thick brush, and it was hard to reach, but Rainbow and Silver were determined to bring water back to their home. They worked tirelessly, carrying water from the spring to the river and the surrounding areas. It was exhausting work, but they knew that it was the only way to save their home and their friends. As they worked, they began to see the other animals of the forest in a new light. They saw the determination and perseverance of the ants, the resourcefulness of the squirrels, and the courage of the deer. They realized that they were not alone in their struggle and that they had many allies in the forest. Finally, after many long weeks, the rains came once again. The river began to fill up, and the other animals of the forest rejoiced. Rainbow and Silver had saved their home and their friends, and they had learned the value of community and collaboration in the process. The drought had been a difficult time for the forest, but it had also been a valuable lesson for Rainbow and Silver. They had learned the importance of working together and the power of determination and perseverance in the face of adversity. From that day on, they were even more committed to protecting their home and their friends in the forest.
Years went by, and the forest continued to flourish under the watchful eyes of Rainbow and Silver. But one day, disaster struck. A fire broke out in the forest, spreading quickly and threatening to destroy everything in its path.
The other animals of the forest were frightened and panicked, but Rainbow and Silver remained calm. They knew that they had to act quickly if they were going to save their home and their friends. Rainbow and Silver flew to the front of the fire, using their wings to create a gust of wind that pushed the flames back. They worked tirelessly, flying back and forth between the fire and the river, carrying water in their beaks to extinguish the flames. Their efforts were tireless, and slowly but surely, they were able to contain the fire and prevent it from spreading any further. As the other animals of the forest watched, they knew that Rainbow and Silver had saved their home and their lives. The forest fire had been a terrifying experience for everyone, but it had also been a valuable lesson for Rainbow and Silver. They had learned the importance of bravery and selflessness in the face of danger, and they had seen the power of teamwork and collaboration in action. From that day on, Rainbow and Silver were even more committed to protecting their home and their friends. They continued to work tirelessly, using their skills and talents to keep the forest safe and to ensure that it remained a place of beauty and wonder for generations to come. As the years passed, Rainbow and Silver grew old and eventually passed away, but their legacy lived on in the forest. The other animals of the forest remembered them fondly, and they told stories of their bravery, their kindness, and their dedication to the forest. They spoke of the many times that Rainbow and Silver had saved their home and their friends, and they remembered the lessons that they had learned from the two wise kingfishers. The forest continued to thrive, and it remained a place of wonder and beauty for generations to come. The animals of the forest continued to work together to protect their home, and they remembered the example set by Rainbow and Silver. And though they were gone, Rainbow and Silver's memory lived on, inspiring the animals of the forest to continue their work and to keep the forest safe and thriving for years to come. The legend of Rainbow and Silver became a part of the folklore of the forest, a symbol of bravery, selflessness, and dedication. And though they were just two small birds, they had left a lasting impact on the world around them, reminding us all of the importance of working together and looking out for one another.